Hi, this is Kirby Summers, and I want to welcome you to the Epstein Project podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing a letter sent by Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, Bobbi Sternheim, to Judge Allison Nathan, where she's complaining and complaining and complaining about the conditions at the jail. Before I get started, however, I want to ask you to please like the video. Like it, please. It's below this thing here. Like it because there's a way that YouTube has this algorithm and it just makes more people listen to it. And I think it's very important that we keep this case at the forefront. It's important not to let people forget that we're still fighting um, the atrocities committed by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And so, let's just keep sharing this information so that it's fresh. And again, I want to thank everyone for your incredible support. You guys are amazing. You've been joining my Epstein Project newsletter, which has gotten a really, really good response from many of you who didn't know I've had this for over a year and a half. And many of you are following me and supporting me on Patreon, which is very, very kind of you. And of course, you keep buying my books, which is great. I'm working now on finishing up Ghislaine Maxwell, an unauthorized biography. And so, the COVID situation has been very productive for me because if you can't do anything, well, I work. I'm writing all the time and I'm trying to keep the case in everyone's mind, so I tweet about it every day, as you know. Okay, so bear with me because I'm going to be reading through some of the complaints that Ghislaine Maxwell, who, by the way, the press has not continued to call her. And maybe it's because we've complained about this. They're not calling her Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend anymore. They're not calling her the socialite. I think I saw somewhere that they're beginning to call her accused something or other. And that is exactly what she should be called. She is whatever titles she had in the past, that was her smokescreen to the world. Um, she really was she a socialite? No, she was out there pretending to be something so that she can, in the background, have this incredible operation of blackmail using minors that were sexually trafficked. I mean, we know this, and yet she was out there with very famous people taking photographs and being little Miss Charming, while all the while she was in the back room allegedly raping these girls with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so now that I've gotten that out of my system, I will let you know what she's complaining about at this point. Okay, so she's saying that she does not have, and by the way, she calls this pretrial punishment. So in the United States v. Ghislaine Maxwell, in this letter by her attorney, Bobbi Sternheim, dated February 16th, sent to Judge Allison Nathan, it's sort of kind of like a pretrial punishment that she is complaining about. She says that she is, let's see. It says, I'm just going to read this. In the government's recent letter regarding MDC conditions essentially repeats the same points it made in defense of MDC's request that the court vacate its order directing the MDC to permit Miss Maxwell to use a laptop on weekends and holidays. So apparently she wants to use her laptop on weekends and holidays, and all right, so that's one, but there's a lot of these complaints that she has here. Um, And then she claims that that there's been something that's not correct, that these requests have been denied, and that her by ignoring all of these terrible conditions that Ghislaine Maxwell has been complaining about, um, she claims that the government misrepresents Ghislaine Maxwell's conditions of confinement. They go on to say that she does not have access to daily discovery review for the entirety of the 13 hours, and that the delays of moving her the 50 feet or so from the isolation cell to the day room are a large part of the challenge. I mean, basically, they're just continuing to nitpick on every little thing. I'm sure the other people that are at this jail have it far worse than Maxwell, who has the entire second floor to herself. She has a private bathroom. There's no way that other inmates cannot be jealous of the fact that she has a private bathroom. But, somehow she just and she's going to keep doing this. She's going to find ways to nitpick on everything. And then it goes on to say the number of searches is also not correct. Miss Maxwell is searched on every move, including to the empty concrete space adjacent to the day room used for recreation. Currently, she's subject to a minimum of 4 pat-down searches a day if she goes to rec, and 5 pat-down searches on the day of her weekly body scan. Okay, it seems like they give her a weekly body scan. Why not? Contraband is brought into the jails all the time, which makes me read this as she has been having visitors during COVID, and maybe those visitors are only the attorneys. But it's interesting that, she is being subjected to this, because again, it's an indication that she has had contact with people coming in from outside. All right, so then it says, since July 6th, Miss Maxwell has been physically searched approximately 1,400 times, including pat-down searches, metal wand searches, mouth, hair, and ear searches. And then it goes on to say, posing additional health risks during COVID, and upwards of 60 body scans. In addition, there have been hundreds of physical searches of her isolation cell, locker, legal papers, and personal effects. No contraband has ever been found. We take issue with MDC's assessment that the searches are all necessary for the safety of the institution and the defendant. Miss Maxwell is under 24-hour surveillance by 2 to 6 guards and approximately 18 cameras, not including the handheld camera focused on her throughout the areas in which she is moved and confined. Miss Maxwell poses no danger to anyone. Sure. I'm sorry. That just pops out at me. Unless you're a 12-year-old girl or a 14-year-old girl, 16-year-old girl, 18-year-old girl, 25-year-old woman. Yeah, she poses no danger to anyone. All right. Well, that you hear that that's my opinion there. Her restrictive conditions, searches, and constant surveillance correlate directly to BOP's negligence, resulting in the death of Jeffrey Epstein. And then it goes on to complain that a flashlight is pointed at the ceiling of her isolation cell every 15 minutes from approximately 9:30 to 6:30, from approximately 9:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. It is hard to verbally convey the power of a light that bounces off a concrete ceiling and a 6 by 9 foot concrete box into Miss Maxwell's eyes, disrupting her sleep and ability to have any restful night. And then they talk about sleep deprivation, and that it's well documented that there are side effects to sleep deprivation. It goes on to add that Miss Maxwell continues to be at the mercy of a revolving group of security officers who are used to guarding hundreds of inmates, but who now focus their undivided attention exclusively on one respectful, middle-aged female pretrial detainee. I love how they frame that she's a middle-aged, respectful female pretrial detainee. I would not think that we share that view that Ghislaine Maxwell attorney shares about Ghislaine Maxwell. And so it goes on to add that recently, out of view of the security camera, Miss Maxwell was placed in her isolation cell and physically abused during a pat-down search. While she asked that the camera be used to capture the occurrence, a guard replied no. When Miss Maxwell recoiled in pain, and when she said she would report the mistreatment, she was threatened with disciplinary action. Within a week, and while the same team was in charge, Miss Maxwell was the subject of further retaliation for reporting the abuse. A guard ordered Miss Maxwell into a shower to clean, sanitize, and scrub the walls with a broom. Now I'm going to stop here, and I want to remind you that Ghislaine Maxwell is using a bathroom on the second floor where she is the sole, prisoner. And so the bathroom that she was told to go and clean is her own bathroom. I just posted something on Twitter, and somebody said, "Oh, well, when I was in jail," or I'm paraphrasing, "when I was in jail, I had to do that, but with a toothbrush." And so again, it shows the discrepancy between, even when Maxwell is told to do a chore, she's given a broom, which, like if you have a broom, you really are not getting yourself very dirty, I would think, right? Because if other inmates are given a toothbrush to clean the bathroom scum, if you will, there's a difference. She has a broom. Other inmates are given a toothbrush. Okay, but she finds this objectionable, I'm sure. All right, so let's say that, what else are they complaining about here? Okay, food. She continues to complain about the food. She has repeatedly not been provided some or all parts of a meal. For the duration of her detention, she has never received a properly heated meal. Her food, contained in plastic, specifically contradicts it's apparently, okay, the gist of this is that her food is supposed to be, it's a microwavable. It's supposed to be heated in a thermal oven. The old microwave oven used for Ghislaine Maxwell's food does not defrost the food, it does not disintegrate it, and it melts the plastic container, and that it renders the food inedible. It says, while guards finally acknowledged serious problems with the food, they continued to microwave Miss Maxwell's food, rendering the food inedible and dangerous for consumption, and leaving Miss Maxwell with no meal and no replacement. Last week, guards informed Miss Maxwell that going forward, her food will be heated in a thermal oven, like that of all other inmates. While this may be an improvement, it does little to correct 7 months of deprivation, impacting her nutrition and detrimental to her health. Okay, and then she goes on to complain about the water had a foul smell, and that it was cloudy, and it had heavy particulates, and that the water in the day room was brown. Wake up, this is New York City. It happens in everybody's apartment every now and then. The water sometimes comes out muddy, cloudy, and sometimes even brown. And, if you're a New Yorker, this happens in every apartment building, in every institution, in every school. So it seems that recently there was a problem in her jail where she is in Brooklyn, But she's complaining about that too. Apparently, she's not enough of a New Yorker to have understood or seen this happen when she was living in her $15 million Upper East Side mansion in New York City. Okay. It says that a request by Miss Maxwell and counsel to provide her with bottled water or permit her to purchase water were denied. Then it goes on to complain that her legal mail does not arrive in a timely manner. Okay, hello. We're in COVID. Nobody's mail arrives in time. Right now, everybody's mail is delayed. But for some reason, Ghislaine Maxwell is complaining that her newspapers arrive up to 6 weeks late. Her emails have been prematurely deleted from the BOP system. I mean, she just goes on to complain about everything. Some of this stuff is COVID related, which, nobody has any control over that. Okay, so now then, let's see, what else is she? Okay, so this is the overall conditions of detention have had a detrimental impact on Miss Maxwell's health and overall well-being, and she is withering to a shell of her former self, losing weight, losing hair, and losing her ability to concentrate. Okay, I'm going to pause here because I think she is now 59 years old. So it is known that after the age of 50, and some women 40, and some women 60, um, you're going to lose your hair. You're going to lose some of your hair. There's going to be some hair loss. It happens to men, I think beginning in their late 20s for some of them, but it does happen to women too. And so, like, I can't see that this is necessarily part of, quote, the conditions of detention being necessarily detrimental to her health. I'm sure it's not pleasant to be in jail. But then again, had she not done what she had done, and I mean, she is accused of having trafficked uh, victims to be sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein. And it is alleged by these victims that Ghislaine Maxwell took part in the same um, sexual assault, so that she has been accused of rape. And this woman is complaining that she's losing weight and she's losing her hair and her ability to concentrate. Okay, welcome to the age of 59. That happens to everyone. Perhaps, Miss Maxwell thought that it would skip her over. It has not. All right, in closing, this email goes on to say that having been incarcerated in de facto solitary confinement for 225 days and monitored by 2 guards, 24 hours a day with a handheld camera dedicated to capturing her every move except when it would record improper conduct on the part of the guards, it is not surprising that Miss Maxwell feels she is detained under the control of the Bureau of Pretrial Punishment. Very truly yours, Bobbi Sternheim. All right, well, okay, that's the letter that was filed in court on February 16th to complain one more time about the onerous conditions that Ghislaine Maxwell is facing in jail. I'd love to hear your feedback on the ongoing complaints of Ghislaine Maxwell. And by the way, I heard through the grapevine that Ghislaine 100% was convinced that when she requested that she be released on bail, and I think the amount at that time was increased to $23.5 million for her bail, and the judge didn't even grant her a hearing. That's how ridiculous it sounded to the judge. Um, she really believed that she was going to be released, and so that and again, through the grapevine, I hear that she was reeling because she 100% believed she was going to be let out of prison. So, all right, so we're seeing this play out. She's been in prison now since July 2nd. It's February 17th. So, that's a good what? That's a good 7 months, 8 months. I don't know. So she's been in there, and honestly, I think that many of you would agree that what she put these victims through when they were children, and some of them when they were adults, that there is no punishment too harsh for this woman. There just isn't. She mistreated these women. She said they were nothing. She continues, her friends continue to claim that these women, who, some of them are now mothers, some of them didn't make it. Some of them are, battling the scars that were left from their abuse at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell and her good friend, Jeffrey Epstein, spy extraordinaire, financed by Leslie Wexner, who people continue for reasons unknown to me to feel that he was somehow snookered. Leslie Wexner was never snookered into anything by Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm going to cover that in another podcast because I want to keep this one short so you listen to the whole thing. All right. Please hit the like button. Please follow me on Twitter. Please leave your questions or comments about this below. And once again, thank you. And we're going to keep following this case. All righty. Bye.